Hello, good evening, everybody, on this pleasant Friday night from Herriman, Utah. Welcome to the Rewind Sports Network and our coverage of Skyridge basketball, presented by Herriman and Associates. Tonight, the UHSAA and its online streaming partner, KSLSports.com, are proud to present the second round matchup in the 2024 UHSAA 6A boys basketball playoffs between the Herriman Mustangs and the Skyridge Falcons. With my broadcast partner, Davis Brandy, Alexander Tamula joining you here at Herriman. All right, Davis, I turn to you. The first thing I say is we got a very interesting matchup here tonight. Talking with head coach Jeff Gardner before the game of Skyridge, he said that on paper, this would be probably a mismatch given the fact that, you know, this is a similar team that they faced in their last game against American Fort, but there's a big difference, and it's depth.
Yes, depth is a big issue. You know, he talked about Herriman being a really good first quarter team, but again, substitutions come in and out. Skyridge, if they want to get this dub, you just keep pushing, you keep the momentum up, and you just able to get by their size because it kind of belittles once you get down that bench.
So let's get into the Herriman Associates keys to the game quickly here before tip-off, presented by the full-service law firm committed to winning for you, the client. DB, what about teams need to do to get out of here with the win here tonight and move on to the Huntsman Center?
You know, for Herriman, we talked about their size. They need to use that to their advantage. Make sure to keep that pressure going. Just be the Twin Towers over these Skyridge guys. Dominate those boards because that can really take Skyridge out of the game. If you can get those rebounds, that's it. And keep the momentum. If they're a good first half team, you got to keep that going because you don't want to be that high seed. You don't want to be that team that gets upset because anything can happen here in playoffs. And I'm excited.
It's a time of the year we all love. The playoffs are here, and we are off and running this evening here in Herriman. Carlo Mulford will take it out front against Dane Housley. Of course, no changes to the lineup for either side, as expected, as you would think. Palmer double to the post, kick out Stockton Blanchard, and the first three of the game belongs to Herriman. And Davis, that could be something we watch all night long, is how well Herriman hits those shots, and Skyridge is capable of doing so as well.
Yeah, not in that moment right there, but yeah, you know, we talked to Coach Gardner. He talked about the backdoor pass. They ran her up there, but that opened up the top of the arc for number 3, Blancard, and that can really be deadly for Herriman. Just keep those points stacking and let that 3-ball fly.
Herriman finishing the season 18-5 under first-year head coach Doug Meekum, 7-3 in Region 2. Behind Corner Canyon, who finished at 10-0. As meanwhile, there is Malcolm Johnson on the back door, right on cue, and 5 quick points there for the Stangs.
And you just left that big man all by himself. That is not a good sign. Just make sure there's always a body down in the paint. But really good from Herriman drawing that up for Johnson.
Housley kicks it out. Gagan, wing side, three-pointer. That rattles off. Gail Barkley grabs the rebound. Here comes Mulford. Good transition defense there from the Skyridge Falcons, who come into this game 4-6 in Region 3, 10-13.
Yeah, at Skyridge, we saw that good defense right there on the transition. That really makes Herriman dangerous. Skyridge was able to shut it down there. They have to make sure they force them in a slow half-court offense here.
That's what they like to do. They like to slow the game down, and it's what they did so well against Lehigh in that win at home back on January 20th. Mulford spins, able to lay that one in with a finger roll. What a play!
Man, the finesse, the spin, and the finish. What a play.
Housley drives against Barkley. Can't get that one to go. Johnson fighting for the rebound. Mulford's out of there with it. Mulford allows for Barkley. What a start for Herriman. Timeout, Skyridge. The Stangs off and running here tonight with an early 9-point lead. What a start for the Herriman Mustangs. They lead 9-0 here. Alexander Timolip and Davis Brandy here at Herriman High School. So, I just said it while we were off the air. Jeff Gardner, it's now his move. And let me tell you, Davis, you couldn't have asked for a better start if you're Herriman.
Oh, yeah, this is texture basketball right now for Herriman, using their size. They've been able to dominate the boards. I don't know if Skyridge has got an offensive board yet, you know, and so right now Herriman doing their thing. Skyridge needs to get that 3-ball going.
Housley kicks it out. Gagan found himself alone. Housley back to Larson. He can hit those. He leaves it short, though. Tip off a finger. It'll go out of bounds. It'll stay here, though. New 35 for Herriman.
Man,
or rather for Skyridge.
That court vision from Dan Housley, he was able to find many guys going inside. You had the man in the corner, Gagon, but able to find guys on the wing. They just got to finish now.
Tate Larson guarded by Mulford. Housley here, just underway. Alexander Timilip and Davis Brandy here, along with Trino Psyche on the camera at Herriman. Nice anticipation, but better hands there from Kohler to get the ball back. Kohler spins, goes off glass, and scores.
Big bucket there to get on the board. All you need is just a little bit of stress off your shoulders once you get on the board.
Davis Fyans getting set to check in, the sophomore. As Barkley working it into the corner. Blanchard, corner 3. That doesn't go. Fight for a rebound in the corner. Barkley's there first. Johnson trying to get there first, but ends up throwing it off Gagan out of bounds. And it'll stay here. So Davis in the last couple of minutes or so, Skyridge really turning up the defensive pressure.
Yeah, they've been in the face. You know, there's only so much they can do with Johnson's frame. But yeah, they're stopped. They're forcing them out of bounds. They're forcing them.
Almost another 3 there as Fyans trying to go up for the rebound. Again, Barkley, though, able to out-battle him for the board. That's the second one in almost 30 seconds for him.
Again, that's good pressure. That, you know, as a little man going up against the big guy, you know, David Fyans, you know, you got to bring that contact. Yeah, it might come in a foul, but that's a good foul. You're not in foul trouble. It's early in the game. You have time, and they're forcing them to reset.
Barkley off the inbound. Nice play. And again, it was Fyans getting caught underneath on the pin down. 4 quick points for Barkley and a 9-point lead once again here for Herriman. And meanwhile, Larson looked like he ran into.
Yeah,
well, I thought he ran into Mulford down low in the corner. I thought that should have been a foul called by the officials, but no call. Interesting that they didn't call that.
Well, I think I saw Ethan on the floor as well for Skyridge, so they might have collided together.
Might have collided being the operative phrase, but
he's up and well. He's a young kid. He'll shake it off.
Yeah, Larson.
He's got the adrenaline. We got state playoffs here. We got to keep it going.
Larson, of course, the senior, of course, got his mission call recently to Madrid, Spain. Interesting note, Davis, 5 of the 6 seniors on this team for Skyridge, 5 of the 6 will be serving missions for the church. That's quite a hefty number of them.
Yeah. I'm not from Utah, so I'm not used to that type of stat line in playoffs.
You're telling me. You're telling me as a Hawaii kid. We'd be lucky if we get 5 in a year from any stake in the state serving a mission that far, as Kohler now has it on the block against Malcolm Johnson. Turns, goes left hand this time, spins off the rim, and the rebound's captured by Johnson. Mulford, nice change of pace, scoop off the glass. As meanwhile, Herriman almost got caught sleeping down the floor as Johnson had to come over and get his hand on that thing.
Yeah, that's just special to see a 6'7", beast of a man able to get cross court. He's putting in all effort. He is not sleeping. He knows that this is a playoff game. It doesn't matter if you're 14 seed, 2 seed. Doesn't matter. This is playoff basketball. 110% all the time.
It's what you expect at this time of the year too, Davis. It's what you need to get past a team like Skyridge, who again, a lot of quality wins on their schedule, as Davis Fyans. He's at 3, a little bit short. The rebound comes down there to Ike Palmer. Now here's Johnson. The close out there again by Larson on Blanchard. Back it comes Mulford.
Yeah, you said about the record, you might see them as a low seed, but you're in one of the toughest leagues. You're able to split games. You had probably the upset of the year in their win against Lehigh.
Here comes Gagan the other way. Got Fyans running ahead of the pack. Leg hand scoop off the glass. Won't go. Blanchard gets it, and he is fouled by Gagan to stop the fast break.
Yeah, and ideally you don't really want to attack on fouls, but that's a good situation there. It was a 3-on-2 right there. So you just have to disrupt Herriman, because right now they're firing on all cylinders right now. So you just need to disrupt in some type of way. And right now they just have to get these little reach-in fouls.
And Davis, I should say this early on. You look at the score 13-2. Herriman had that great start, but it's not like Skyridge is not getting good looks at the basket. They're just not getting them to fall. As meanwhile, Palmer can't hit that three.
Yeah, Skyridge, they have the shots. Kohler's been able to do work in the paint. He just has to convert now.
And I think Skyridge should be very fortunate. They're only down by 11 points right now here in this first quarter.
Yeah, this game is not away from them. They're moving the ball right now.
Great move there from Kohler going up against Johnson, but he traveled.
Yeah, Johnson's just a quick wall right there. You know, able to do so many moves. He has a smart IQ. He'll be able to learn Kohler throughout this game. So Kohler's got to be a little bit more dynamic, find other ways to get around that man.
The other thing we touched on, Davis, in the early part of this game is that the depth of Herriman could become an issue down the stretch, especially if guys like Barkley and Johnson are getting attacked constantly.
Yeah, you know, a hope for Skyridge is if they get in foul trouble, because right now, not a lot of substitutions. We see two waiting right now.
Bulford coming around a couple of screens, kicks it out. Wills has to put up a three, got deflected off the side of the backboard out of bounds. And it'll go back to the Skyridge Falcons. Looked like that got blocked. Anyway, meanwhile, Cale Barkley comes in and Malcolm Johnson will get his first rest. And there you go on cue. Davis. Cale Barkley comes right back in.
Yeah, you might
give him a rest.
Yeah, you think you have a break when Johnson's out, but you got another beast right now who's leading the team in scoring, Barkley.
Housley able to run off a couple of screens, puts up a tough shot, gets it to fall. Just a second field goal for Skyridge. They trail here by 9, and that gets ripped away there on the other end as Palmer couldn't hold on to it. Here comes Housley. So Skyridge starting to find their footing here late here in the first quarter. It's only a 9-point game, but it certainly feels closer. Kohler, tough turnaround shot. Left that one off the mark, and the rebound, Palmer.
Again, Kohler's taking really good shots. They just need to fall.
Bulford now against Housley, two of the better defenders in the state. Bulford blocked by Housley. Here comes Housley up the floor. Sprinting, sprays it out. Gagan for three. Left it short. Barkley the rebound.
They're getting stops. You know, they've been able to make those, you know, Herriman hasn't had control of the ball. It's Skyridge just has control of the ball. They just need to score. They've been doing really good. That was a really good block there by Housley.
Barkley now out front. Okada puts up a three, rattles out. And the rebound comes down to Kohler, and this will be the last possession of the first quarter. And I think, Davis, given where Herriman was to start the game, I think you'll be very happy if you're Skyridge to be only down by 9 points or whatever the score is.
Yeah, you know, this game is not away from them. This is right now the best basketball Skyridge is playing right now. Now's the time to at least get some points, get that momentum going.
Dump down on the block, Kohler. Got the double, now starts to go to work. Turnaround shot, left it short. Gentry gets the rebound, Palmer gets the block.
Oh, man.
And that's the end of the first quarter.
What a way to end that first quarter. And already fireworks going off right now.
So Skyridge got off to a bit of a slow start, but they're only down by 9 points. At the end of 8 minutes, it is 13-4. Mustangs, proud sponsor of the Rewind Sports Network and our coverage of UHSAA playoff basketball. The second round continues here with Alexander Smilip and Davis Brandy here at Herriman High School. Herriman leading the Skyridge Falcons 13-4, but Davis, it's easy to be deceived right now basically with this scoreline. The Mustangs controlled the first 3 minutes of the game, but it was Skyridge who was in control of the last 5 minutes of that first quarter.
Yeah.
And they're getting their looks.
Yeah, exactly. Herriman, they jumped out super quick. You know, it looked like they were going to play their basketball, but again, Skyridge, they slowed them down. They got a few stops late in the first quarter, and again, they have their looks. You know, it just needs to fall. That's very concerning for Herriman, knowing that a smaller team is able to get your shots up. But right now, Skyridge need a little more proficiency. Again, more shots you take, more you're going to make.
And I'd like to buy a vowel as the second quarter gets underway here. Here's Housley attacking to the basket. And we're going to get a foul on the floor against Ike Palmer. And just like that, Malcolm Johnson is going to come back in. So not a very long rest for number 23. Jaden Newman, by the way, number 20, was the last one to check in along with Beckham Wills. Stockton Blanchard and Johnson check back in here on this possession. Skyridge was down 9-0, but ever since then, they seem to have found their footing here. And a traveling violation called on Dane Housley.
Yeah, again, they took a lot of time right there. They really used the shot light to their advantage. It's those little mistakes, that needs to be cleaned up. Again, it's go big or go home right now. And, this is they have nothing to lose, which is helpful for Skyridge, going up against one of the juggernauts here in 6A.
As Davis just said, Herriman comes into this game 18-5, 7-3 in Region 2 as Malcolm Johnson goes in, spins off the rim, fight for the rebound, and Housley's able to get there 5-on-4. Johnson trailing the play. Kohler, wing three. Looked like that hit off the bottom of the stanchion, but it didn't get a call, and the rebound is captured there by Johnson.
Yeah, that pass rebound from Skyridge, able to crash the boards.
Nice bounce pass on the power dribble there from Johnson. So 4 early points for him, and it's back to an 11-point lead for Herriman.
Good defense right there from Newman.
And a 5-second close guard violation called on Skyridge.
And Newman was on him like white on rice, just right at his waist. And Kohler, that was the only man he was looking for. He disrupted it. Really good play there.
15-4 Herriman. Their largest lead is what is on the scoreboard right now. It was 9-0 early on, but like we said, Skyridge appears to have found their footing as Johnson can't get that one to fall. Great setup off the back pick.
Man, I got so excited seeing him go up in the air for a jump ball right there, but wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Gagan gets blocked there from Barkley. Good take, though, into the big man. Palmer, lob, Johnson. That one hit off the side of the rim.
Oh, man.
And Davis, I hasten to say it, but it's an 11-point game in the second quarter. You don't want to start doing that if you're Herriman.
Yeah, again, that they've lost two possessions right there. You could have at least 4 points. If you just feed them on the block, take a little bit more time. Yeah, you want to have fun, but
Dane Housley misses that three. Out of bounds it goes back. It goes to Herriman. Lions will come back in. 6 minutes and 4 seconds left here in the first half. Dane Housley and Jordan Kohler have the only 2 field goals so far for the Falcons, who trail here by 11. Mulford on the baseline. Palmer couldn't get that one to fall. Thrown through traffic by Johnson, and out of bounds it goes back to Skyridge.
He thought he could just, find a way, but they avoided it. But at least from my view, it looked like he could have stayed in bounds a little bit, or at least just find one of his guys instead of try to deflect off Skyridge.
Lions gets into the paint and fouled there by Mulford. He got Mulford flying up in the air, no basket.
Yeah, that was a really good split by Davis Fines off the screen. Just the reaction time was there. Got the shot, forced him to jump. You just tacked on the foul right there.
Very short rest for Housley, comes right back in. 15-4 in favor of Herriman. Housley back to Gentry, back to Housley. New 35 here for Skyridge. Alexanderson up alongside Davis Brandy here at Herriman High School. Good pick there on the rip from Cale Barkley, and here comes Ike Palmer. Good cross-court swing there, but it's intercepted by Housley. Housley up the floor. Kohler lost it on the way up, but he was hacked on the arm by Palmer. And that will be 2 shots for Jordan Kohler.
Yeah, now's a good time to recollect yourself. Again, shot is still not falling for Skyridge. You stop the clock, you get a breather, get that shot going.
So that's the first foul on Palmer. So Johnson's got one, Palmer's got one, Barkley's got one. So that has to be a concern for Doug Meekum heading down the stretch because, again, Herriman not a very deep team.
Yeah, so if you even get one of those guys out of the game, we saw as soon as Johnson came out of the game, they still had the other guys. They still had Barkley. I think they had Palmer out, but that was when Skyridge was really pushing them. So again, if you just want to attack the paint, you can definitely get those fouls up.
Kohler hits the second. It is a 10-point game here. Kohler will take a rest. Mosteller comes back in. Jackson, Mosteller.
And again, Skyridge, they've been doing it pretty well. Just need to stretch it out. So when Kohler, with how big Herriman is, they've been able to really pick at Skyridge on the paint because of the crowded defenders.
Mulford, count it, and one. Great drive off the pick. Rolls right to the basket. And Davis, I got to talk with his cousin Isaiah Reiser over at Copper Hills about his change of pace. I mean, Mulford has the sneakiest change of pace in the state, probably. That's elite right there.
Yeah, the acceleration right there. We saw it earlier with his frame. He's able to just blow by guards. It doesn't matter how big you are. He's a freight train going down the lane.
But he can't complete the three-point play. This is now the largest lead of the game for Herriman. Gentry steps right into a three. And the rebound comes down to Barkley, or Palmer rather, and here comes Mulford again. Approaching the halfway point of this second quarter. On the roll. Three-pointer, Barkley, that's off the mark. Housley clears. That's his fifth rebound already. Carson Mosteller just came in, back to Jackson. He puts up a three. That rattles, won't go. Tipped out of bounds. And it goes back to Skyridge, or it goes back to Herriman. Newman comes back in. Barkley comes out.
So again, you have a big man out of the game. Again, they still haven't gotten that shot to fall, but you just got to keep attacking and keep going.
Seems to be the running theme, doesn't it, of this first half, Davis?
Oh, yeah.
Skyridge is getting the looks, but they just aren't falling. I mean, you saw with Gagan's last three, just not able to get going as we got an offensive foul on Malcolm Johnson. And Malcolm Johnson picks up his first. And that's the 14th foul already on the Herriman Mustangs. And so we're going to go back the other way.
Yeah, and one more, they'll go in the bonus. So even though you want field goals, if you're Skyridge, you can still get those easy points.
Gagan, Carson Mosteller, corner J. That goes off the top of the backboard. That was a good look for him, though. Here's a 2-on-1. Blanchard goes to the basket. Count it, and one.
What a feed, the transition, just the size, that makes Herriman so dangerous right there. And that's why you have to be careful. That wasn't a turnover. But again, if you can get those boards, you can stop that from going. And that was Steve Nash of Phoenix Suns fast. That was really good, quick transition game.
Full timeout called by Skyridge. Trying to find some traction, but the Herriman Mustangs showing you why they are the number 3 team in 6A. 3 minutes, 32 seconds left here in the first half. The Rewind Sports Network and our coverage of UHSAA playoff basketball presented all season long by Heidemann and Associates, full-service law firm that's fully committed to winning for you, the client. Alexander Timolip and Davis Brandy here at Herriman High School. Davis, we sound like a broken record, but it's the story so far. The only reason why Herriman's up by 14 points is that Skyridge is getting their looks, and they just are. The rim is just being unkind right now.
Yeah, it's been a tough break right now for Skyridge. And you said off air, they just need that one shot to fall. This could be a completely different game. The problem is we've been waiting on that for a while. We've had their looks. We've said that many times. They keep taking the shots. It needs to fall.
Stockton Blanchard steps up to the line and hits. And this makes it a 15-point lead here for Herriman, their largest of the first half.
And I'm sure it's a mental thing for Skyridge, not able to get a shot off. It definitely hopefully they're mentally strong enough, but I can definitely see that frustrating a team.
They've had so many good looks, and they just have not been able to convert. Really has just been a frustrating first half here for Jeff Gardner's team. Gagan, nice pass. Kick out corner, Housley. Again, another miss over the top. Out of bounds it goes, back to Herriman.
Again, that was a good feed to Housley. You're finally able to draw all the big men in the paint, leave a man open in the corner, but can't fall.
Newman out front. Back to Palmer, matched up against Gagan. Lob on the block. Johnson, not a good pass there. Stolen away there by Mosteller.
Again, really good timing there. Able to crash in the paint, not give Johnson time to breathe or even look up. As soon as he looked up, two Skyridge guys are in his face, forcing the ball out.
Housley goes to the basket. Finally, something falls. That's the first field goal for Skyridge in almost 7 minutes. And maybe that will finally get it rolling here for the Falcons. They've been waiting for something to break their way on the rim.
Yeah, with 2 minutes left in the second, now's the time to stack it up, get some momentum.
There it is. It's a steal by Gagan. Here comes Housley. Housley got Mulford sliding backwards there. That's something you don't see very often. Housley to the basket. Left hand won't go. Rebound Johnson.
Man, he's a little snake in the grass going through the D.
Mulford, how about that? Speaking of snake in the grass right there, going right through the middle. Back up to 15. One minute 33 left here in the first half. 22-7, Herriman. Once again in the block, offensive foul.
And they've been playing so smart, as far as keeping things in bounds, able to make those extra passes, and of course that charging foul. Really good play there.
13 foul on the Falcons, first on Gagan. Herriman leads by 15 points. This is their largest lead of the game. Drayton Stilson, number 22, checked in at that last stoppage. And again, another turnover, lost out of bounds by Palmer. That's the 6th turnover for Herriman. There to Skyridge, they have just 4. And yet Skyridge not able to make the Mustangs pay for their mistakes.
Yeah, Herriman's given them lots of opportunities. They just can't take advantage of it right now.
Gagan misses that one over the top. Mosteller fighting for the rebound. Able to knock it out of bounds, though, off of Palmer. It will stay here. And if there's one thing we know about Jeff Gardner teams, Davis, Skyridge is not going to go away easy. They're going to fight tooth and nail no matter what the score is to the finish.
Yeah, they've gone through the gauntlet in region, so you're just conditioned to always have a tough game, always have to fight. And Gardner, I'm sure Gardner loves that.
That's what he's made his living off of in Region 3. You could argue all the coaches in Region 3/Region 4 have made their living off of that. Couldn't name a few off the top of my head. Rather, I could count off the top of my head how many coaches they've had that have built for that, as Newman forces another travel, the 5th turnover for Skyridge. Housley, Gagan right back in.
Yeah, now would be the time you think that they would take advantage. Again, they were able to force turnovers. They're just not getting over that hump. They still need to crack double digits, and we're almost to halftime with no score, with no play clock.
No shot clock now, no shot clock for the last 30.2. It's off. Mulford, check out. Barkley, bingo! 7 seconds on the clock. Here comes Housley. And a foul is called with 5.1 seconds to go on Mulford. And that will put Dane Housley on the line to shoot 2. So Housley will go to the line. He's the leading scorer right now for Skyridge. He's got 5 points. Housley steps up. First free throw is good. The Rewind Sports Network's coverage of UHSAA playoff basketball continues tomorrow morning. Don't miss the 5A quarterfinals with Dusty and Dane live from the Huntsman Center. Coverage starts bright and early tomorrow morning, 9:15 a.m. Tip-off at 9:30 between Timpview and Orem on the Rewind Sports Network as Housley misses that free throw. Kohler, he can put it up. This will be good if it goes. It does not go. That's the end of the first half. And you have to say for Skyridge Davis, that's been the order of the half. Nothing has been falling on that end of the court.
Yeah, Skyridge, again, we've been preaching it all day. The look side there, just the shooting percentage just keeps going lower and lower, and Herriman is really taking advantage of that. They've been playing a great game, but Skyridge just really have its moments. They just need to get it over that hump. Halftime's a great time to fix that.
25-8 the score. We got 16 minutes to go, but the Herriman Mustangs looking good, apparently, for now, on their way to the Huntsman Center for the quarterfinals on Monday. We'll be back with the second half in just a moment. You're watching the Rewind Sports Network and our coverage of Skyridge basketball presented by Heidemann and Associates. Back here at Herriman High School, Alexander Tumult alongside Davis Brandy for this presentation of Skyridge basketball presented by Heidemann and Associates, the full-service law firm fully committed to winning for you, the client, and a proud sponsor of our coverage of the UHSAA playoffs on KSL Sports Rewind. This second round matchup between the Skyridge Falcons and the Herriman Mustangs, with Herriman leading 25-8 at the break. And Davis, one can argue, it's Herriman's defense that's been doing the work, but at the same time, Skyridge hasn't been really helping their cause so far without getting any baskets. It's been a struggle to find some traction, but they are getting their looks.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely more of a story of Skyridge not pulling their part than Herriman being dominant on the defensive side. And so, again, it takes that one shot you said off air. It takes one shot to get that going. The problem is we've been saying that for a while, and they have to do it quick or else they're going to be playing catch-up. But this is a Region 3 team. They're not scared of anyone. They go through the gauntlet every single day. So, they can definitely get that going. They've had really good defensive moments, and they've been playing fast-paced off of those stops, down in the paint. This comes down to getting the pin to fall.
So, here's my question for you then, Davis. As we start this second half, even if Skyridge is able to get rolling, even if they aren't able to complete this comeback, even if they are able to find some traction against this Herriman team, what do you think? What do you think is going to be the key for the Mustangs, knowing the fact that they've given Skyridge their opportunities, but Skyridge just hasn't converted?
For Herriman, definitely keep your guys on the floor, stay out of foul trouble. They got into the bonus late into the first half, so definitely stay out of foul trouble. They've been able to get a lot of off-ball movement, and Mulford, once he gets a lane, he's in the block in a blink of an eye. So if Skyridge is able to stop him, Mulford's really a decision maker here.
Mulford leading scorer for all scorers with 8 points so far. Malcolm Johnson with 4. Cale Barkley with 7. So Mustangs have the ball start the third quarter here. The final 8 minutes to decide who will go to the Huntsman Center on Monday morning.
Yeah, like you said, the leading scorer. Mulford's definitely been the most consistent throughout the game. Johnson has had his moment, but he's been shut down sometimes. Barkley hasn't been on the floor the whole game. Mulford has been the pushing pin.
Nice roll to the basket there from Malcolm Johnson. First field goal he's had since the first quarter. And this is now the largest lead of the game for the Mustangs. On the block now, Kohler. Cross-court kick, deflected out of bounds. It'll stay here. 17 on the shot clock.
Yeah, that was a gutsy pass. Through all that traffic, it was a good feed there. But again, just the wingspan, good D on Herriman.
Kohler to the basket, and the body contact and a foul called on Johnson. Actually, that's going to be called on Barkley, so that's his first.
And like we said, attack that paint. You may not get the field goal, but you have a chance to make it up in free throws, and you tag a foul against those big men. Take them out of the game if you want to.
It's really been the story, hasn't it, Davis? I mean, what we've been saying that Skyridge should be doing more often, but the problem is they have been doing it. It's just that the shots haven't been falling, which has been the refrain of the night.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's very frustrating because you just knowing what could be right now for Skyridge in that first half. And I said you could make it up in free throws, but in that instance they couldn't.
So the Falcons still can't get to double figures. The cold shooting continues as Johnson goes inside. Same play they ran. And now Johnson has 8 points just like that. Housley charging downhill, nice pass. Gagan able to roll to the basket off the baseline. Yeah. That's his first points.
Really good feed there. Able to get that cut, that back door. And you get paid her, baby.
Barkley out front, matched up against Kohler. Herriman's turned the ball over 7 times, but Skyridge not able to take advantage of the points off turnovers. Herriman, by contrast, has forced 5 Skyridge turnovers. 10 on the shot clock here. Here's Palmer. Mulford deep out near the logo. Gets a screen. Johnson on the roll underneath. And no call as Larson hits the floor, but now 4-on-4 the other way. Housley takes the bump, goes inside. Are they going to count it? They will not. It is a hand check against Mulford. And Carlo Mulford now picks up his third. And Drayton Stilson comes right back into the ball game. And so he's the first player to be in foul trouble here for Herriman.
Yeah, if you're Skyridge, you got the bug in. Now's the time to turn on the Jets.
Gagan, though, gets blocked by Palmer. That's the third block for Ike Palmer. The frustration mounting for the Skyridge Falcons, just not able to get anything going. I mean, Davis, I don't think we've seen this from Skyridge all year long. It's just nothing's falling.
Yeah, and again, it's very frustrating to see, knowing it's a playoff game, you're the underdog. And again, you have a chance to prove and make, not history, but make a big statement going into a possible second round, knowing, hey, we knocked them off. We are coming for you. This is 6A. Anything can happen. Knowing that we could have a totally different game if the shots fall, it's a bummer. It definitely is.
I mean, it's like Groundhog Day watching this Skyridge team.
Yeah, this is definitely a sleeping bear. It keeps getting poked at. It just needs to wake up and start going.
Wholesale changes now for Jeff Gardner. Luke Yates comes in. James Ducker comes in. Davis Fyans comes in. You're just hoping, if you're a Skyridge fan, something gets going. I mean, this is beyond all belief what we're watching right now. And I'll be honest, Davis, turning to you, I don't think any of us could have expected this kind of performance coming in from Skyridge. I mean, you never expected this.
Yeah, exactly. It's, again, knowing what they've been able to do in a tough region, able to split games, again, big upsets, thinking, oh, you're conditioned in Region 3. You're expected to hit the ground running into playoffs. But again, there's no momentum. There's nothing.
Late foul called there on Blanchard. It's already 14 fouls on Herriman in the first 3 minutes of the third quarter.
Yeah, that is dangerous right there. That is really early right there.
Luke Yates to the line, hits the first. Hey, we remind you, the Rewind Sports Network's coverage of UHSAA playoff basketball continues on Monday when the 6A quarterfinals get underway at the Huntsman Center. Coverage starts bright and early at 9:30 a.m. with Dusty Litzter, Dane Stewart, and a few special invited guests along for the ride. Find out who's joining them at the Huntsman Center coming up on Monday all throughout the week on the Rewind Sports Network. That three-pointer is no good. We have a foul away from the basketball. It's called on Gagan, his second. So side out, no basket. Apparently the officials thought that the foul came when the shooter was not gathering. Blanchard launches a three. That's off the mark. Rebound captured by Mosteller. Here's Ducker back to Yates. Ducker slides on the floor. Maybe a bit of a wet spot right there. Fiennes able to gather the skip. 15 on the shot clock. Back to Gagan.
I want to see more ball movement and off-ball movement.
Good read there from Stilson, but better transition defense from Skyridge to not allow the fast break.
Yeah, that was a stagnant possession from Skyridge, seeing if one guy could get in the lane, but Herriman stood tall.
Blanchard fumbled that pass, and Fiennes able to come out of there with it. The 8th turnover of the game. Mosteller up ahead of the pack and able to spin that one in. And this is the closest Skyridge has been in this game. That's his first points. And sensing the momentum shift, Doug Meekum takes a timeout.
Yeah, definitely a momentum shift right there. You're able to get the first, free throws to fall for Yates. Able to get that stop right there, and the turnover bucket right there. So again, you call it timeout. You keep them in the right headspace. Hey, we're in this right now. There's gonna be a little bit of catch up, but they need to turn it on quick.
3:47 left in the third quarter. Good time to remind you, the Rewind Sports Network and our coverage of UHSAA playoff basketball is presented by Igloo Outfitters, the most comfortable wearable sleeping bag that has you covered during all seasons of the year. Go to igloooutfitters.com and enter the promo code REWIND for 20% off your next order. That's IGLUoutfitters.com. Alexander Timilip and Davis Brandy here at Herriman High School. It's been all Herriman, but not for a lack of Skyridge offense. Falcons just not able to get anything to fall from the field. That said, they've already scored 6 points in this quarter, which is more than they've had in the first 2 quarters, which is hard to believe. Palmer up and under, that doesn't go. Kohler the rebound. And a chance to get it under 20.
Yeah, they've been lucky. They've been able to keep Palmer quiet on the offensive side of the ball at 15 points a game. Averager still hasn't gotten much good to go.
Nice swing to Gagan. Good catch there from Ducker. Kohler's isolated to the post. And he gets picked there from Jaden Newman, who's had a good game here tonight. Blanchard, open three. Now we got a foul on the floor against Jordan Kohler. That is his first second team foul, so inbound underneath with 3:07 left here in the quarter. Skyridge trailed 9-0, but were able to find their footing, but ever since then, their offense has just struggled to find traction. Palmer, stop and pop three! Hits that one! A good contest there from Gagan, but a better shot there from Palmer. And that's his first points.
Yeah, I think Ike heard me saying he's been struggling offensively, so he's like, oh man, we got to get scoring now with his first 3 of the game.
37-14. Fiennes, floater in the lane, left it short. Gagan the rebound, back to Ducker, he'll reset. Kohler lost it out of bounds again. And back it goes to the Mustangs. Just the 6th turnover of the game. Just the 7th turnover of the game for Skyridge.
And again, you just know the opportunity's there, but when they haven't been able to convert, and you're getting stopped. And there's been a lot of turnovers in this past stretch here. And just knowing that they've been able to get a little bit of momentum going offensively, just knowing what could have been.
Nice pass, and the finish by Ike Palmer. He's got 5 in a row in a hurry. And this now the largest lead of the game for Herriman. Fiennes to the basket, off the rim, no good. Johnson the rebound. Wolford looking to attack. Spins, kicks it out in the corner. Wills, three-pointer. Oh, and no good on the rebound by Kohler. A little bit of a heat check right there. Gagan's got a good look for three. Rattles that one in, and we got a foul behind the play. As Kohler got run over by Malcolm Johnson. And now I wonder here, Davis, if they might call an intentional foul. Alex Aronson with alongside Davis Brandy here at Herriman High School. Good response there from Herriman. 5 quick points following the 16-0 run by Skyridge. Now, if you're Doug Meekum here, what kind of play do you draw coming out of the timeout here, Davis?
All that off-ball movement they were able to get the last possession. They were just able to just keep wiggling around, able to free up the top of the arc 3 ball. And so they were able to just spin the heads of Skyridge because Skyridge has had the pressure on them. So all you got to keep doing, keep playing hot potato, keep passing around. Do not always look for the extra pass. That's what Herriman needs to do to keep playing that fast pace that they like to play.
Malcolm Johnson, by the way, pointing at his dad here in the stand, said his contact fell out of his eye, so he has to go get a new one. So they're going to get another one for him from the locker room. Meanwhile, Cale Barkley going to work inside. It's Herriman with 7 straight. Back inside it goes. Kohler, nice feed from Housley. Skyridge not going to go away without a fight here. Barkley down the floor. And there's going to be a 2-shot foul. They're going to say he's going to go to the line.
Yeah, with a man like Barkley coming in hot, that is just bound for a foul call there. Just with any type of contact right there, able to draw that foul.
So Barkley goes to the line to shoot 2. 46-32, Skyridge cut it to 9 just a little bit ago, but Herriman able to get it back up to 14, at least for the moment.
Yeah, Barkley's come up big time in these past, 2 minutes, averaging, he now has 9 just in the second half. Really carrying the load right now as one of the big men. But we see Johnson come back in, so the Twin Towers are back.
Barkley now with 17 points to lead the way. 18 now for Cale Barkley. And this is the largest lead of the fourth quarter for the Herriman Mustangs. Larson for 3. Got it! Back to a 13-point game again. Double on the far side. Blanchard running up the floor. Doug Meekum, though, wants his team to slow it down. Probably smart that they do so with 4 minutes left and a 13-point lead. Mulford speeding, pass deflected. Blanchard, flyby, 3-pointer. That's off the mark. And Kohler grabs the rebound. Here comes Housley. Up the floor, Larson. Can he hit it again? No. And the rebound is Mulford's. And he is fouled. And so that will put Carlo Mulford on the line to shoot 2 shots.
Yeah, Herriman, they're able to get the scoring back. There's been a little bit of distance. That was a big 3 there from Larson. But now with, already in the bonus, any contact, that could be 2 easy points for Herriman and grow that lead.
Mulford hasn't scored yet in the second half until now. As we remind you that coming up at the conclusion of tonight's game, Davis and I will be selecting our choice for the Heidemann & Associates player of the game, and we'll also have a look ahead to the rest of the playoffs, as this will be our last regular telecast of 2023-24 on the network this evening, as Mulford goes 2 for 2 and back to a 15-point game. He's got 10. Housley off a couple of screens. Gentry pops open for 3. Blanchard grabs that rebound. Mulford coming up to the front court, just going right by.
Man, that guy is in control.
starting to percolate now. Here is Housley, nice floater, right over the top of Malcolm Johnson. Mulford now with 12 points. 15 points the deficit again. Skyridge cut it to as low as 9 to start this fourth quarter. One more, Barkley for three, no. Rattled around in the rebound capture by Kohler. Here's Housley again. 2:48 counting left to go here in the fourth quarter. Housley off a couple of screens, nice spin. But Gagan went one way, Housley went the other way. Just in the story of the night, Davis.
Yeah, that's a frustrating miscommunication there. There's definitely orange in that corner, just everyone's off the floor.
Ducker back in, replacing Gentry, so defense for offense here. As Blanchard. And Barkley gonna smartly pull it back for Mulford. Palmer for three. He's got 8 now. Housley to the basket, no, but a foul.
And one thing I'll say, Herriman they're not panicked anymore. They've been playing a lot more smart. Like I said earlier, this always makes them that extra pass because there's always going to be an open guy if you pass it long enough. They're not rushing it. Obviously, when you have a much bigger lead than they did in the third quarter, you have that cushion. And Herriman, they're a little bit more calmer now, and they're able to, again, just play a little bit smarter, and that's been resulting in points.
Davis, you also have to say that, for Skyridge having these struggles all night long, like for them to cut the lead to 9, it really just goes to show you that, we warned everybody when Herriman went up by 25 points, that even when it was a 39-14 game, you just knew Skyridge wasn't going to go away.
Yeah. Exactly. Again, we've talked about all the time. If you're Skyridge, you might have a low seed, but were conditioned all of region play, in one of the most competitive conferences, and knowing that you can get that shot, and they finally got it in the third quarter, and they really made it tough for a dominant Herriman team.
Kohler was fading back a bit on that three. Rattles around though. Larson the rebound. Kohler tries it again. And nothing's falling right now. Just been the story of the night for the Skyridge Falcons as Blanchard goes to the basket and scores. And Doug Meekum immediately calls a timeout, as I suspect he doesn't want any more shenanigans taking place here tonight. Well, it was looking shaky for the Herriman Mustangs early in the fourth quarter, but it looks like they're going to get out of here with a win. We'll be back with the final 149 after this. Herriman leading 57-39 after getting their lead cut to 9. The Herriman Mustangs able to respond. Alexander Timilipalazai, Davis Brandy here for the final 149 of this game. And Davis, as we come down the stretch here, unless something incredibly insane happens again like it did at the end of that third quarter, you have to give the Skyridge Falcons a whole lot of credit because we told everyone at the start of the fourth quarter, Skyridge is not going to go away lightly, and they certainly didn't here in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, Skyridge, they've definitely fought hard. They've given Herriman many of scares today, and that's definitely a concern. Watching Herriman, if can they close out games? But I think that's more of a credit to Skyridge of just how well they've played today and how hard they fought. It just they got unlucky bounces today.
Yeah, just been the story of the day, as Davis brought out. Cold shooting. Just nothing's been able to fall for Skyridge all day long, as that three by Blanchard is no good. Yates the rebound. Wholesale changes coming in as the benches are going to be emptied here with under a minute to go. Housley turns it over as we'll hit 1 minute to go. Want to take this opportunity to thank Tino Psyche, Mike Christensen, Austin Bigelow, and Doug Jardine, our cameraman, all throughout the season. As the starters leave the floor here for Herriman. Also want to thank my broadcast partners, Tyler Gibb. Want to thank Zach Hunter and, of course, Nate Thatcher for their work with me all season long. And, of course, this all is impossible without Dusty Litzter and Vince Francis, the two behind this great operation here that we call the Rewind Sports Network. So we take this time to thank them, and we do so with great joy and happiness. Final 35 seconds here tonight as Herriman will just run down the shot clock as far as they can go. Stilson puts up a three. That's too strong off the mark. Rebound is brought down. And that's pretty much been the theme of the night there for Skyridge, as that pass gets thrown out of bounds. 16.3 left in the game. Boy, give the Skyridge Falcons credit. They gave it everything in the second half, but Herriman does enough to pull away in the end as the Herriman Mustangs head back to the Huntsman Center. The number 3 seed is moving on to the quarterfinals of the 6A state playoffs. It was hairy there for a little bit for the Herriman Mustangs, but they're able to do just enough to pull away in the end. We'll be back to wrap it up after this word from Igloo Outfitters on the Rewind Sports Network. Welcome back, everyone, to Rewind Sports Network, wrapping up our coverage of the 6A second round, presented by Heidemann and Associates. Alexander Jamil Davis Brandy, final score, Herriman 57 and the Skyridge Falcons 39. First, Davis, before we wrap it up, let's give credit where credit is due. The Skyridge Falcons gave it literally everything they had in the second half, but when at the end of the day, when you look down to it, just too many missed opportunities and too many missed shots was what did them in. Yeah, it just took too long for them to keep it going. We knew that Skyridge is a team that won't back down. They had the looks. We knew what could happen. Just took too long for the dials to click there. And they just had to play catch up. They had a really good run there to make it single digits. But yeah, there's just like a little bit of a constant catch up, not enough consistently to get the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, Cale Barkley was the guy who got the job done tonight. He's our Heidemann Associates player of the game. How about that second half he had? Barkley was kind of quiet all night, but he stepped up when he needed to down the stretch to help put away the Skyridge Falcons. Yeah, he had a big stretch. You know, he finished 7 in the first half, and then he finished with 18 unofficially to finish out the whole game. He really came up big time when there was a little bit of foul trouble as well, but he was nonstop dominant this whole game. So Davis, before we wrap it up, before we put a bow on everything here this season, this is our final telecast of this season, our first final regular telecast, of course. Dusty and Dane take over from here. What intrigues you the most about these playoffs, especially in 6A, given that there's no real clear-cut favorite this year? Oh yeah, I love that it is wide open this year. Obviously, you had a big upset with Mountain Ridge beating Westlake in the play-in. We're already seeing upsets. We couldn't see it tonight. That definitely could have happened. But again, I'm just really excited. There's no favorite. There's always opportunity. You know, Copper Hill's got to play Layton. They're definitely not out of it. Fremont and Davis is a really intriguing matchup, and you know the winner of that will face off against Herriman. So we'll definitely see if Herriman can get over the hump and stay in that driver's seat if they want to make it to semis. Well, if it is Herriman against Davis, that is gonna be some matchup over there at the Huntsman Center. Davis, it's been a fun season, and I can't wait to see what happens the rest of the way from here. This is going to be a really fun ride down the stretch here in 6A. Yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be here in this seat on the mic. Again, playoffs,
It's the best time to be alive, baby.
It is the best time of the year to be alive. Thank you, Davis. Thank you to Tyler Gibb again, to Zach Hunter, to Tino Psyche, and to, well, I forgot Nate Thatcher. Sorry about that. And of course, Tino Psyche, our camera guys, Mike Christensen, Doug Jardine, Austin Bigelow, all season.